What up and welcome to Something by Brian. I'm Brian and today I've been tasked with terrific purpose. A bunch of creator mates here on YouTube led and helmed by Eric McGills over at The Unapologetic Geek and Stephen Bovran from Chaptoons. There's a link to both their channels in the description below. Please check them out, they're great. Anyways, they challenged a bunch of us to create a list of movies. But not any normal little top 10 or something like that. No. They wanted us to choose our favorite film from each year we've been on this wonderful blue marble. Only one film per year. So strap in because this might be a long one. Because I'm from 91, so... yeah, let's just get on with it, right? We're kicking things off with Silence of the Lambs from 91. Such an intense film, with strong performances from all involved. Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal is an instant classic horror villain and has been parodied and spoofed as much as he's been tributed and made homage to. The tension of the story and intrigue of the mystery is stellar, even on rewatches. Disney's Aladdin filled my childhood with songs, colors, and a sense of wonder. It is a beautiful movie and engaging story with some of the funniest animation I've seen till this day. It's one of the few Disney films I actually prefer to watch in the Danish dub because it's just so nostalgic to me. 1993. What a great year in movies! But it gots to be Jurassic Park. What a score! What gorgeous effects that's still holding up to this very day. What iconic characters and performances. I can't praise this movie and everyone involved enough. And I'm super excited to see Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum all reunited again this summer. Though I doubt it'll be any good. Here's to hoping though. For 94, I've gone with Pulp Fiction. It is a master study in storytelling. The interconnectedness of the different plots and how it slowly reveals itself is spectacular to experience. It's full of such fun action and dialogue, great performances and quotes. It's probably the best movie from Quentin Tarantino, but it's not gonna be his only entry on this enormous list of movies. This year, 95 was truly difficult to pick from. 7, The Usual Suspects, Die Hard with a Vengeance, or as we call it in Denmark, Die Hard Mega Hard. And Babe, you know, the pig movie. Shut up, it's great and you know it. But it has to go to Toy Story. What a monumental feat in cinematic history. The very first fully 3D computer animated movie. Could have been a huge failure and put people off and away from animation, but luckily it was made by truly passionate people doing their very best, and the end product really shows. Yes, it has started to show its age, but that doesn't take anything away from the lovely story and wonderful characters. For 1996, I've chosen the Coen Brothers movie Fargo. It's one of the most atmospheric films I've seen. The juxtaposition between the kind-hearted nature of the local folk with the horrific crimes is just always funny to me. And Frances McDormand and Steve Buscemi are so good in it. For 1997, it couldn't really be anything other than Ben Affleck's and Matt Damon's Good Will Hunting. A second Robin Williams appearance on this list already. What a wonderful life-affirming movie with great performances from the two leads. Just never get tired of this film. Like 95, 1998 was a difficult year to select from as well. From various Adam Sandler comedies from when he was the upcoming Prince of Comedy to great and horrific dramas such as Saving Private Ryan and American History X. But I'm going to say The Truman Show. Such an interesting concept, done so well with a, at the time, very off-brand casting of Jim Carrey that he really did bring a lot of heart to. It touches on themes explored in the much newer Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, just handled better in every conceivable way. So if you like Free Guy, you ought to watch Truman Show. In 1999 we have the third animated entry. And this year might be the best year in movies in my lifespan so far, so it was really hard to pick just one. Classics such as The Matrix and Fight Clubs from 99, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm highlighting Brad Bird's The Iron Giant. I haven't a clue how many times I've seen this flick, as a kid as well as an adult. It just really strikes an accord with me. The style, the themes, the art, it's just one of the best movies ever in my opinion. A special shout out to Galaxy Quest though, one of the best sci-fis of all time. This was hard as well, because movies like Snatch, Memento and American Psycho came out in 2000, along with a lot of other stellar movies. But I have to give the title of my favorite of the year to the Danish movie Flickering Lights, or Blinkende Lygter, as we call it. I've discussed it a bit in some of my other videos because it really is a standout movie in Danish cinema. A directorial debut from one of our greatest directors and an incredible ensemble of what would become some of the biggest actors in modern Danish filmmaking. The movie is a dark comedy about coming to terms with your own place in the world, and it's just wonderful. I have no idea if our weird dark humor translates well, but you really should give it a chance if you haven't. 2001. Of course, the correct answer for 2001 is Fellowship of the Ring. so I've included it in the drawing. Anything else would have been sacrilege. But I'm going to go ahead and honor the weird sci-fi comedy flick Evolution a bit. I had this dumb movie on VHS, and me and my sister absolutely loved it and saw it enough to actually break the tape if memory serves me right. It is super dumb, and I haven't seen it in ages, but upon researching this video, when I saw Evolution was from '01, I knew I had to include it. For 2002, I've gone with Spider-Man. This movie is dated by today's standards, but we've grown accustomed and spoiled by all the superhero shenanigans of today. It is good to remember some of the older ones that started truly making the niche genre of superhero stuff more mainstream and popular. And with the success of No Way Home, I can't be the only one who loves Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. So if you can look past the fact that all the supposed high schoolers look like middle-aged people, this movie totally kinda holds up. Spidey's dialogue could be a bit quibbier and fun, but Tobey's Parker is perfectly dorky though. And J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson is a revelation. Perhaps the best casting of anything ever? Now that the door has been opened for superhero stuff, it's got to be Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Nah, I'm of course just kidding, miss me with that bullshit. But my actual favorite from 2003 is hard to pinpoint. There's fantasy classics like Return of the King and The Curse of the Black Pearl that was so good it kinda sorta revived the dead genre. And also wonderful comedies like Bruce Almighty and School of Rock, and wonderful animated pieces such as Finding Nemo and Sinbad, an underrated gem. But I must give it to the aforementioned Return of the King. The first Pirates movie is a true classic and stands the test of time, but come on, it gots to be Return of the King. 2004. Okay, this one is not even hard for me. Shaun of the Dead, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Mean Girls is definitely close runner-ups. And while the second Spider-Man is better than the first one, and the first one is included in this list, the second should be a no-brainer. But to its demise, nothing can dethrone The Incredibles. My favorite Pixar film as of writing this. I've lost count of how much I've watched this movie. It might be my favorite superhero movie ever. Hell, it might even be my favorite movie if you ask me on the right day. So this one was easy to select. 2005 was another no-brainer. It's Batman Begins. I've done a video on Nolan's trilogy you can see if you click the corner, but I love them all. And this one was such a cool, dark reboot that breathed new life into a beloved character and defined, or derailed, depending on how you look on it, the feel and mood of superhero movies for a couple of years. Now it becomes a bit harder again. With titles like Little Miss Sunshine and Pan's Labyrinth coming out in 2006, it was a bit tricky to narrow it down to a single favorite, but Scorsese's The Departed is just a step above the two other mentioned. The cast and direction and story is just so intriguing. The performances are all great, and Leo and Matt really shines in this. I know it's a remake sort of thing, and some much prefer the OG. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I just know I love this iteration. From one great director to another, Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy is a comedic work of art. And though all might not agree, I do believe Hot Fuzz is the best of the three, so therefore it gets the title of my favorite movie of '07. Great story, super fun characters, and so quotable, with some of the best visual comedies I've seen. I hope to see more from this trio of comedic talent. I don't think anybody cracks me up like these three geniuses. Holy moly, '08 was a good movie year. This one is the hardest yet, I think. Immediately my mind went to The Dark Knight, of course, but with great comedies like Tropic Thunder, Role Models, and In Bruges, and stunning animated features like Kung Fu Panda and Wall-E, it suddenly became a bit trickier. But as stated earlier, my love for the Nolan trilogy is near immeasurable, so I have to go with my first thought and pick The Dark Knight. But dang, it wasn't as clear-cut as I first predicted. Why do so many great movies come out simultaneously? It's almost cruel to choose between these. I'm going to name all I'm considering, cause they're all incredible films. So my top 4 from '09 is Coraline, Up, Inglourious Basterds, and The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Coraline and Up I've seen countless times, and I remember proudly announcing The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus my favorite movie and trying to convince everyone to see it. But since I've got Shoshana Dreyfus tattooed on my arm, I think it's pretty clear that I'm going to go with Quentin Tarantino's seminal tribute to the power of films, Inglourious Basterds. Such an incredible movie with amazing performances. Pitt and Fassbender are both amazing. Melanie Laurent likewise, and of course it put Christoph Waltz on the map as the go-to villain cast for a small decade. Oh man, Moon and District 9 is from '09 too? Such a great year in movies. This is truly beginning to become tricky. We've reached the era where I truly started appreciating movies and trying to see as many as possible, so it gets harder and harder to narrow it down to just one for each year. But I'll manage. 3 of my favorite directors had new movies out in 10. Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim is a stylized masterpiece of a comic book adaptation. David Finch's The Social Network is such a gripping drama about something that shouldn't have been adaptable in such an enticing way, with wonderful performances from some, at the time, real up-and-coming actors. And I do hope that I'll manage to fit a Finch's film in, since I already passed both Fight Club 7 and Zodiac by, and he really does create amazing films, but I have to tip my hat once again for Nolan. Inception was such a cool, original idea, with amazing performances, action and direction. I mean, that Inception wow is still a decade later in use in various trailers. For 2011, I'm going with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think my love for the Harry Potter franchise should be represented on this list, and I really do love this film, and think this is one of the only divided into two parts movies that actually deserves it and benefits from it. But Warrior with Tom Hardy and the animated movie Rango deserves a shout out, and could pretty easily take the top spot on a different day, to be honest. All stellar movies in my opinion. Solid movie year 2011. 2012 is another really great year, but I remember being as impressed with the interconnectedness of the stories and characters with the first Avengers film as I was with Endgame half a decade later. I mean, back then I couldn't believe that Marvel managed to build this universe up so that a character like realistic Iron Man could fly around shoulder to shoulder with a Norse god, but there it was. And I loved the spectacle of it. I still do. But a special shout out to Silver Linings Playbook. What a wonderful, sweet, yet real movie. And also the Danish film The Hunt. It's one of those you only watch once though, because it's rough and it stays with you. But dang, it's great. And Mads Mikkelsen is at his absolute best in it. This one is difficult in another way. Because while researching these, none of them truly jumps out in my mind like, oh yeah, that came out this year, that's so good. But of course there's still some pretty awesome movies to pick from. Should it be great dramas like Scorsese's Wolf of Wall Street or Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners? Or maybe another superhero flick like Man of Steel? Right now, I gotta admit I'm leaning towards going with some cool sci-fi movies from two really great directors. So right now I'm struggling between Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer or Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. And while I think Snowpiercer might be the best of the two with more to say about society and such, I think Pacific Rim is just an amazingly good time with stunning visuals and some crazy good action. Monster flicks is so frequently frowned upon, but the cinematography of this one and the anime-inspired robot kaiju fights is out of this world. Dang, now it got crazy difficult again. And my top picks are spread pretty amazingly in genre and style, because it has to be either the incredible drama Whiplash, the terrifying indie horror The Babadook, or the lovely family film Paddington. Damn, and two of my favorite MCU films came out in 2014 as well. Dang it. I'm picking The Babadook. It's so atmospheric and scary, and just a really well told scary movie with a very original horror monster. 2015, another great year. So hard to choose between modern classics like The Big Short or Mad Max Fury Road, and beautiful animation in Inside Out, and great indie stuff like The Lobster. But at the end of the day, I'm turning to Denis Villeneuve's modern western Sicario. Such an intense watch, with stellar performances from Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, and particularly Emily Blunt. I'm not exactly sure how it became a tradition, but I always try to watch this movie the 24th of December. It's not at all a Christmas film and has nothing to do with cozy family values, but I love the tradition and I absolutely love the movie. It has the most tense scenes since the opening of Inglourious Basterds. Okay, we're here. It finally happened. A year with so many amazing movies that I couldn't just decide one. And to be completely true, I'd feel better if I also went with Shane Black's The Nice Guys. But the 2016 tie is between the lovely Irish indie movie Sing Street and Taika Waititi's wonderful Hunt for the Wilder People. All three of these are some of my favorite films, but the last two I mentioned I simply cannot choose between. Sorry, not really sorry. And if you haven't seen any of them, get on it immediately. The sheer amount of lovingly coming-of-ageness is almost too much to handle. This is becoming incredibly difficult. I want to pick so many. Blade Runner 2049 is some of the best sci-fi I've ever watched. The Last Jedi was a breath of fresh air in a franchise I've loved forever. Baby Driver is Edgar Wright just showing off. And Lady Bird is a powerhouse of performance, story and direction. But I'm actually going to go with the Safdie brothers' crime thriller Good Time. Now this might be because it's the one I've seen the latest and I'm in the honeymoon phase with it, but it truly is a fast-paced, great thriller with a standout performance from Robert Pattinson. But come back in the year and I might pivot towards Baby Driver or Lady Bird. Or maybe nothing will have changed at all. 2018. We're back to animations. It's been too long, you know. And maybe people who knows me would argue I was more hyped about Infinity War and wouldn't shut up about it after seeing it. but still, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a masterpiece. The style is bold and the coolest adaptation of comic books ever. Lord and Miller truly did something special here. Also, the soundtrack is stupidly dope. I'm so excited to return to this world in the sequels. Sony might not know what the heck they're doing in their live-action efforts with Spider-Man IP, but if they continue to animate it this well, I'll actually excuse stuff like Morbius. This one felt dirty. I was certain that Endgame would be a no-brainer inclusion, but when I researched movies released in 2019 and Rian Johnson's Knives Out was right there, I couldn't not pick it. I've made a video about Knives Out if you want to check it out. It details my love for the movie way better than I could do in this short time span. But to reiterate a bit, crazy awesome ensemble cast, wonderfully colorful characters, and an intriguing mystery. Now, is this one sort of a cop-out? I suppose. The musical is from 2016, I think, but I never had the opportunity to catch it on Broadway, so when it finally hit Disney Plus in 2020, I was on it immediately, and I've rewatched it multiple times since, and the soundtrack has been steadily on repeat for the past 2 years. If I'm ever in New York again, I hope I can catch a show. It must truly be something spectacular live. We're at the end now, 2021, last year. Now that I didn't include Endgame, I'm feeling guilty towards the MCU and Kevin Feige. I know you're watching, hey Kev. So, the incredible feat that is Spider-Man No Way Home has to be included, to the chagrin of Denis Villeneuve's marvelous sci-fi epic Dune Part 1. But No Way Home is truly a nostalgic celebration of everything comic book movie, everything Spider-Man, and just a blast. I smiled throughout the entire film. It was exactly what I wanted it and needed it to be. So, that's my list. 2022 isn't over and therefore not included, but for the past 2 years I've created videos discussing my 5 favorite movie experiences throughout the respective year. So if you want to hear the runner-ups for 2020 and 2021, go check them out. And if you liked what you've seen and heard, subscribe so you can find out by the end of this year which 5 movie experiences of 22 is my favorite. So far, I can spoil that one of the 5 will be The Batman. But for the rest, I'm sure as hell keen on finding out. As mentioned up top, this whole endeavor was spearheaded by Eric over at the Unapologetic Geek and Steven from Choptunes. And you really ought to do yourself a favor and check out their stuff and subscribe to them. Their channels are linked in the description below. Thanks for the challenge, guys. I had so much fun researching, designing, and drawing this amalgamation. Thanks for watching this, and if you liked the drawing, consider liking the video, and if you liked the video, consider subscribing. Until next time, take care.